Well, I've got about 10.5 minutes through the previous recording to this, which I did 2 years ago, December. I can't believe who wrote that. I mean, I long to be like that again. I can't see that I'm just amazed. Let me pause and go back a minute. You see, I'm going through older recordings I made that I didn't publish, and they're numbered accordingly after the title when they are the older recordings, and when they're the current recordings, they don't have a number after the title other than, of course, the date, the current date in which I'm recording. So I'm listening to me as someone else, who I am now, listening to me of 2 years ago, what he thinks is important and how he's coping with things. And you could say, quite sort of loosely or trivially, what he's advising. And I'm receiving it as if I'm being told what to advise. But of course, in a sense, I'm being told by me. But not the current me. But me who I should understand, and do understand, of course. And I'm following what seems to be, whoa, astonishing to me now. I mean, helpful, a blessing. But how can me of a couple of years ago be able to instruct me of 2 years later that is presumably some development from what I was 2 years ago? And yet it does. Is this because the last 2 years have taken me off track or on a different track? And so I'm presented with two persons that are me. But they're incredibly helpful to each other, of course. Do you see, it occurs to me at this moment, only at this moment, specifically now, it occurs to me that this is how we should listen to others. In good faith. We know they were in good faith because it was us. And we know we were in good faith. We just were, as we are now. We're not seeing this other person as another person who may or may not be in good faith and may have, got a hold of the wrong end of the stick and so on. We're looking at ourselves with what we can believe and did believe then, and how it compares, helps or hinders, contradicts or is consistent with how we think now. In other words, we are very attentive and as understanding as we could possibly be, whilst being a different person of 2 years. How lovely. I think this is what we try to do when we respect others. And respect is a very cold and formal way of saying when we love on others and want to bless them with all our heart. Now, I can't bless me of 2 years ago. I'm just hearing me holding forth 2 years later. But I listened to it. I know what he means. And dare I say it, I am impressed. What you can do when you do it in earnest sincerity, what you then do is a blessing for all time. When you review it and come back to it in ages to come, you'll say, that was unfolding there, wasn't it? Did I know that at that stage? I thought that was much more recent that I'd mastered that. And yet the seeds of it were there, not just the seeds, but pretty well developed. When did I learn that then? And you will, if you like the Akashic record, go back earlier. Well, what did I think at the age of 20? Not the age of 74 compared to now 76. What did I think at the age of 12 and 13 then? How was I thinking when I was only 6 years old with Mum? How was I coping when I was in hospital at 3 years old and 4 with TB? Was I conscious at all when I was in Mrs. Short's care as fostering before I was 5? Or with the lady who wasn't caring for me when I was a baby? How was I relating to being in this world and in some situation of need, apparently, that was not being met in the normal way? Hence the lady rescued me from a bad fostering. Mrs. Short. Can I break off for a moment and say I would so like to meet her again in heaven and embrace her and thank her with all my heart and being? Do you realize the importance of what you do in what you see as your perhaps petty, mundane way of living? When you bless and you help and you rescue some life around you. It might be a fly that you put out the window instead of killing it. It might be ants that you wait until evening when they're no longer around and lock up the hole so they don't come in again, rather than poison them and wipe out their whole society. Do you realize the gratitude that's waiting for you in heaven for every kindness you've ever done, every good intention, every sweetness, every blessing? We have this fantastically tremendous store of wealth, of appreciation waiting for us in heaven, in the fullness of time, by the grace of our lovely heavenly Dad. Love you, Dad. Well, I didn't think I'd say all that lot either, did I? Do you see? You can speak and act according to the Holy Spirit that's in you. And that is absolutely wonderful. And you can take great encouragement from it. Do you know, I've got a tear rolling down my left, I was going to say cheek, but it's upper cheekbone, because of course I'm laying on my back, dictating in bed. It is daylight, and it's raining outside, and it's Sunday morning, and it's 7:29. And it's another moment that will pass into the past. And because I dictated this, and thought what I've thought, by the grace of God and the presence of the Holy Spirit, I maintain, hope you agree with me, I will remember when I choose to recall this moment, how blessed we were in this world by our lovely Heavenly Dad. We are, our whole being is by the grace of Dad, our God. Fill your being with gratitude, and you will rise faster than fast, instantaneously, with Zen efficiency, but into the kingdom of heaven. Bless you, and you are blessed. Thank you, Dad.